Bulls Nation, the game against the Toronto Raptors has come to an end, and boy oh boy was it a heart in your mouth type moment. We were dominant the entire game pretty much with the Chicago Bulls and the Raptors game, but little by little did the Raptors beat us up, come back, and never went away after that. And of course, the Chicago Bulls, with silly mistakes when it mattered the most, allowed the Toronto Raptors to try and have a chance to win this game. Thankfully, it all worked out in the end, but there's worrying signs here that we saw with the Pistons and the Raptors today, and we need to discuss them in this video. Let's do it. What's going on, everybody? It's the Bulls Show, aka Aidan, and welcome back to another video. Today we've got a Chicago Bulls versus Toronto Raptors game reaction. In the end, it was a close game, it was a competitive game, and the Raptors fought back, and we give full respect to teams that try very hard and do not give up, and the Toronto Raptors did that today. However, the Chicago Bulls made some very bad mistakes that allowed that comeback to happen, and we need to discuss some of those mistakes. We will also be talking about positives, ladies and gentlemen, today, because we did win the game, but there are some worrying signs, as I've mentioned in previous videos. We'll be mentioning them again in this video. But before we get started, please like and subscribe to the Bulls Show. Turn notifications on. Let me know in the comments below who is your player of the game. I think this one is a fairly easy one, to be honest. And also, let me know if these signs are starting to worry you as a Chicago Bulls fan. Nevertheless, we won this game 111 to 108. I don't think it should have been that close, but again, you got to give full credit to the Raptors for coming back. Congratulations to Fred VanVleet for getting a really high amount of assists. I even lost track of how many assists he got, but it was a beautiful sight to see. And the Chicago Bulls were dominant in this game. I'm not going to lie. Just because the Raptors came close, the Bulls, for the majority of the game, were the dominant team in this game. And they had every right to win that game, the Chicago Bulls. And they did win the game, keeping our season undefeated. Some of the positives of this game is that besides the fourth quarter, which was completely terrible, by the way, one of the worst quarters I've seen watching this brand new team, we kept the ball very, very well. The Raptors had a lot more turnovers than us. Our defense was very active, and we also got a lot of steals and deflections. But outside of that, in the fourth quarter, pretty much all of that went to waste as we started giving away the ball a lot in the fourth quarter and a little bit in the third quarter as well. Our defense was strong, and of course, we did have some players that finally got into rhythm. Zach LaVine was a player that started off cold and heated up. DeMar DeRozan was good all night. Lonzo Ball made 5 threes today, and our offense really helped in this game, and it also is what won us this game as well. Some of the negatives, as I said, we gave the ball away a lot in the fourth quarter, and once again, we are becoming complacent when we have a team that we should be beating, and also a score where we're up by 20 points. We need to make sure that we are putting those teams to the sword and make sure we are killing the game off early. We allow these teams to fight back and fight back and fight back to the point where we only win by 3 points. That is definitely something the Chicago Bulls need to work on. Zach LaVine said it best. He said in his interview right after the fourth quarter that they did not do their job in the fourth quarter. They did not finish the game the way that it was supposed to be finished, and they need to work very hard to try and rectify some of those issues, and that's absolutely what needs to happen. The Chicago Bulls needs to look at the film, needs to look at themselves, and find a way to understand how they are letting teams come back into this game, and also some of the silly mistakes that we did give away in the fourth quarter. Thankfully, this team did win, and we are still undefeated, and I think we deserve to win the game all in all, but there are worrying signs there. We are becoming complacent, and we are allowing teams to come back while we have a dominant handle on the game. If we verse a better team, we are going to struggle to try and win those games if we are having leads like that we're giving away. If we verse the Knicks and we were up by 20 and the Knicks come back, most likely the Knicks will win that game. That's the type of situation that we need to look at, because at the end of the day, we cannot let this continue happening. We saw it with the Pistons. We did comfortably beat the Pistons that game. This time was not so comfortable, but we did win nonetheless. And as Zach LaVine said, we have to take all the wins that come our way. Let's look at the individual performances today. We'll talk about the positives and the negatives of every player on the team. Let's start off with Lonzo Ball, who had 15 points, 3 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 steals, 1 block. Defensively, he was absolutely the same as always. He's absolutely sensational. He was guarding a lot of players on that Toronto Raptors team. And again, that's something that we always come to know from him. 15 points, he made 5 3-pointers, I believe, in this game, and 4 of them in the first half, correct me if I'm wrong. And assist-wise was good, but he had 4 turnovers, and I think a lot of them came within the second half. And that's definitely something that in the end could have cost us, especially the last turnover of the game. That was an unnecessary turnover to give away, and we ended up giving that away, which made this game extremely closer than what it needed to be. Nevertheless, we did win this game. Lonzo Ball had a decent game today, but there are some things there that we do need to work on. Lonzo Ball did give the ball away unnecessarily at times within this game. That's something that we do need to work on. DeMar DeRozan had 26 points, 4 rebounds, and 6 assists in today's game. If we didn't have DeMar DeRozan against his old team, the Toronto Raptors in Canada, I honestly don't know what we would have done in this game. Again, if we had that 20-point lead and DeMar DeRozan was not on this team, we would lose that game. DeMar was absolutely vital in that fourth quarter, making some really, really good shots for the Chicago Bulls. And again, he did something that, in my opinion, allows us to win more games. He took over the game, and it wasn't just Zach LaVine. Zach LaVine didn't have to do a whole lot of scoring. The pressure wasn't always on him. DeMar took some of that pressure, and it was very well needed for this team. And again, without him, I don't know where we would be right now in terms of this game specifically. We would have lost this game without DeMar DeRozan. So fair play to DeMar DeRozan on having, my opinion, another strong game, and especially to do it against one of your old sides in the Toronto Raptors. Zach LaVine had 22 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists, and 1 steal. Zach LaVine was really good in the second half. He did give an unnecessary turnover in the fourth quarter as well, a really unnecessary one, and I think he did hurt his hand because of that turnover. But the criticism I have for Zach LaVine is very similar to the criticisms I used to give Kobe White last year. When Kobe White was dropping 20 points, sometimes 15 points per game, it was doing it in 1 quarter or 2 quarters. And that's great to see, obviously, for those 2 quarters. But if it's not consistent all 4 quarters, you're not seeing the best out of Zach LaVine. So as good as Zach LaVine's stats were today, he got over 20 points. He facilitated well. He was getting rebounds. He played some, in my opinion, some solid defense outside of one stretch where he gave an open backdoor cut. Regardless of all of that, it's not the best Zach LaVine that we're seeing because it's not happening in all 4 quarters. In the first quarter, he was cold. Really, in the beginning of the second quarter as well, he was cold, but he did heat up towards the second half. And again, he made a really vital 3-point shot in the fourth quarter that we desperately needed. So fair play to Zach LaVine in that area. Nikola Vucevic had 17 points, 8 rebounds, 2 assists, and 3 steals. Nikola Vucevic is an interesting one because the shots that he was getting in the paint, you need to make those shots. That's probably the biggest issue I have with Nikola Vucevic's game today. He had 17 points. His mid-ranges were extremely good for this team, but so many open shots in the paint and in the post were missed, were bricked very heavily, and that is a big problem. Because at the end of the day, this game could have easily been a 30-point lead if Nikola Vucevic was making his post shots. He's making his shots in the paint, some easy shots as well. He was by far the biggest player on the team for both sides. So he had to make some of those post shots and he did not do it. And again, that could have easily been a 30-point lead if he was making anywhere near the post shots that he could have had today. And maybe this game was nowhere near as close, and maybe that comeback doesn't happen because some of those shots were missed in the paint. We need to make sure Nikola Vucevic is continuing to score in the paint. Obviously, he missed a free throw that made this game, again, potentially a chance to go to overtime, but he did make one free throw as well. He contested the shot against Fred VanVleet. And yeah, at the end of the day, I don't see this as a tremendously strong game from Vucevic, but I don't think it's a bad one either. He just needs to make more of his paint shots. It seems like he's making every shot except for the ones in the paint. That's definitely something that we need to work on, and Vucevic needs to work on it as well. It seems like he's bricking everything when it comes to the paint. Patrick Williams had 4 points, 2 assists, 1 steal, and 2 blocks. The league or I guess the team leader in blocks today with Patrick Williams with only 2. So again, the rim protection wasn't necessarily there from this team. Patrick Williams did play a little bit of center today. I think Patrick Williams is still a step slow defensively, which we saw with the Toronto Raptors taking advantage of him. And yeah, there's not too much else to say with Patrick Williams, who was hesitant again, not his best game. And once again, hopefully we can see a better version of Patrick Williams in the future. This was not a good representation of what he can be on this team. Alex Caruso had 8 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, 4 steals. I think Alex Caruso was our team leader in steals today, which is expected. Alex Caruso is everywhere. If it's not Lonzo Ball that's to be leading the team in steals in a game, it would be Alex Caruso. It makes the world of sense. He got into foul trouble and he was complaining a lot to the refs, but he is absolutely everywhere and he's a necessity. And once again, I feel like it's a similar situation with DeMar DeRozan today. If we didn't have Alex Caruso, I don't think we win this game. So our bench was really strong because of him. We do need more scoring off of this bench, but Alex Caruso had a great game today, in my opinion, defensively at least. And Troy Brown Jr. had 11 points, 2 rebounds and 1 assist. The final player I will be talking about today. He made his shots, and this is exactly what we need to see from Troy Brown Jr. every single time he plays. If he's able to make his corner threes, then he is going to be a vital and key component to the way this bench operates. And not to mention, he did take it to the paint today. Usually, sometimes he takes it to the paint. It's a little bit of a naive shot. I don't think we saw a lot of that today, and he ended up getting a lot of points in the paint as well. So he had a great game in my opinion, and it was very well needed, those 11 points coming off of the bench. Now let's go into the must improve. I still think I need to target Patrick Williams as the must improve because, again, his hesitancy and I think sometimes even his defensive weaknesses in this team at the moment seems to be a key standing point with Patrick Williams. You could probably target a bunch of players for this situation considering just how poor our fourth quarter was, but with Patrick Williams, again, he did play a lot of minutes and he didn't necessarily have a tremendous game. I think defensively, in terms of blocks, he was fine, but we all know that there were some key issues with Patrick Williams defensively today, and offensively, he's not aggressive. He's not an aggressive player, and he needs to keep working on it. And that's all I could really say about Patrick Williams. My player of the game is very easy. It's DeMar DeRozan. Again, returning to the side that pretty much loves him for what he is. DeMar DeRozan was really appreciated by the Toronto fans today, and of course the Toronto fans love him already. The Bulls are getting to love him a little bit more after this game as well. It's a really solid game for DeMar DeRozan, doing it pretty much against his former side, doing it against his old standing ground and his old home turf. It's a pretty interesting one to see DeMar DeRozan do that to the Toronto Raptors, but nevertheless, without him, I don't think we win this game. I think he was absolutely amazing today. We versed the Toronto Raptors once. We will verse them 3 more times in the regular season. So hopefully we can have a better performance in those games compared to this one. And hopefully if we do end up going and taking a lead by 20 points, we don't choke that lead and end up making this a lot closer than what it needs to be. But the Bulls remain undefeated, ladies and gentlemen, as 4-0. I guess that's the biggest positive to take away from this. All the negatives that we've talked about, the Bulls did win this game. So 4-0 in the NBA. I think we are the only team in the Eastern Conference that are undefeated now because Boston beat the Charlotte Hornets. So congratulations to the Chicago Bulls on that accolade. It's been a long time since we were 4-0. I'm very, very happy that we are still on the winning column despite all of the negatives we have to talk about. But the challenges still continue. Our next game is against the New York Knicks at the United Center. So this is a really tough game. The New York Knicks, we all know, finished in the top 4 last year. They've had a pretty decent start to the season as well. I believe their only loss has come to the Orlando Magic. I'm sure they will versus the Sixers. We'll see how they go with that. Obviously, the Chicago Bulls, we must come into this game, try to forget the Raptors game and try to focus on what we do well. And hopefully, if the situation does come when we are beating the Knicks by a comfortable amount, if that does happen, we need to make sure we finish the game early and don't give them the chance to come back. Because if you do that against better teams, there will be teams that will make you pay for that. And I don't want another situation where we're blowing 20-point leads and losing games. I don't like that situation. I know it's eventually going to happen, but I don't want to see it happen anytime soon. With that being said, I'm going to end this video here. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe if you're new. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. At the end of the day, a win is a win, as Zach LaVine said, and you have to take those wins no matter how close or uncomfortable they may be. But we do have some negatives that we saw in today's game that I really hope the Chicago Bulls can work on in the future. That being said, have a wonderful and safe day, Bulls Nation. I'll see you in another Chicago Bulls video. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay tuned for more. Take care and peace.